My name is Courtney Colson, a female to male to female detransitioner, and on this channel we try to figure out just what the hell is wrong with me. On this episode, I'll be talking about social dysphoria, and in particular I want to talk to teenagers or young people who think they may be gender dysphoric, and maybe that's come out of nowhere. Maybe you're trying to rewrite your own history to suit this transgender narrative. I've been there. I can talk to that quite in a lot of detail, really. I know my whole situation is quite unique, and I talk about that in other videos, but essentially I wish someone had sat me down and said, it's normal to feel this way. That being a girl sucks. And to talk to all people in general, going through puberty sucks. Even though for me, I transitioned in my 20s, I didn't know myself. I was autistic, I was asexual, I had a very difficult relationship with my body, and that had nothing to do with gender. But there was a sense of social dysphoria, and I didn't know what that was until recently. I actually mostly heard that from the detrans community, that the reason they felt wrong the way they were, and the reason they thought they had to change who they were to be accepted, was that society had put these expectations on them. You can be a butch woman. You can be an effeminate man. There is nothing wrong with your interests or the way you want to dress. You don't have to conform to anyone else's standards. What you have to change is the people you're associating with. Because if you are only surrounded by people, maybe your family, who have very conservative views, that have these very black and white ideas of what a man and what a woman should be, that's going to be really difficult to come to an understanding of who you are if you're always told how to think. And I'll say I'm very lucky. My family was very open and accepting and didn't really seem to care. Well, and they claimed that, although I've come out as a lesbian now, my mom's not too happy about it. It's one of those things of, whatever makes you happy, but she's not happy about it. But yeah, I've never been made to feel like I couldn't be something or do something because I was a girl with my family. But in society at large, well, you go through puberty, suddenly strange old men are treating you like an adult and saying gross things. I remember I was a kid, maybe 14, 15. I was at a grocery store. Mom sent me to go get butter or something. I was at the fridge just going, what brand is it? And I was just not paying attention to what my face was doing. This old guy pushes past me and says, try smiling more, sweetheart, or something like that. And I was like, what the? And I was a kid at the time, so I didn't know how to react. I mean, now I just deck the cunt. I don't care. I don't have any tolerance for that anymore. I've learned that this isn't normal, that we don't have to take this. But for the longest time, I mean, maybe it's changed now, but growing up when I did, in the ancient times of the 2000s, I just... yeah, you had this certain expectation of girls are like this and boys are like this and people treat women like this, and that's just normal. That's just how life is. I also think that transitioning can be appealing to a lot of people who have underlying disorders, and this is a huge issue, and I think therapists are just not looking at this at all. Some do. And then they're told that they're gatekeeping and even have their licenses threatened. So if you've got a history of sexual abuse or any kind of physical abuse, domestic abuse, anorexia or any kind of eating disorder, any kind of anxiety, depression, whatever, if you're suddenly out of the blue claiming you're transgender, that should be a huge red flag. And yet therapists, even the ones who want to do something about it, are powerless because the laws and the rules have been changed by transgender advocates who have the best intentions for transgender people, but they don't care about collateral damage. They're trying to make the system as easy and efficient for for those who are really, truly transgender. But for everyone else who, like me, was dealing with an undiagnosed mental disorder and confused that for gender dysphoria because, well, that's what everyone's talking about, it's fashionable, maybe I'm trans too. There's no hope. You're going to transition, it's going to be really easy, and then you got to deal with the difficulties of detransitioning. So, yeah, I really don't know what the answer is, but I hope that a parent finds my video, or a transgender kid who's on the fence finds my video, because I want to say, don't do it. Slow down. Think about it. If you really, really get introspective and look inwards at yourself and go, is this really dysphoria? Is that where this has come from? Is this what I've always felt? Were you born feeling like you were in the wrong body? Or have you got a long history of mental illness? Or have you even actually seen a therapist and really explored your past and your emotions and all of that? Because you never know. There's a lot that maybe you haven't explored about yourself. I mean, I always thought I was a fairly self-aware, introspective person, but if you talked to me 5 years ago, I would have had a completely different and arguably wrong idea of who I was. And then you get into that argument of who are you actually? Because the person I was last year isn't the person I am now. The opinions I had then are not the ones I had now. I'm changing every single day. So, it's a big decision, kids. So really think about it. And I have a huge issue with either socially or medically transitioning minors, especially kids who haven't even gone through puberty yet. There's all this pressure to, you got to put them on puberty blockers so they don't go through the wrong puberty. And no, it's not like there's no consequences. Oh, sure, no. Puberty blockers do come with consequences. Whoever's claiming that they don't hasn't actually looked at the scientific literature or even talked to people who have taken it, because it causes irreversible damage. It causes not just infertility, and I know so many people are like, oh, well, who cares about that? Well, as someone who desperately wants a baby, it could be devastating. The idea that, I already worry about the kind of harm I've done to myself just taking a low dose of testosterone. But the idea that I would never be able to conceive, or I would go through menopause early or something like that, that's devastating. And the idea that you would be, 11, 12, not an adult, not able to make an informed decision, not able to consent, and all these adults around you that you're supposed to be able to trust put you on this stuff and pushed you onto a path that you didn't really know if you wanted or not. That's horrible. I don't know how I could do it. That would be a lot to have to come to grips with. That your entire childhood and adolescence you were robbed of a normal childhood because you thought you were trans when it turns out you weren't. That's the thing. If you are really transgender, I guess it's fine. It all works out good in the end. But how do you know? And do you really need to transition before you're an adult? If you transition before the first puberty, you'll have an easier time of passing as the gender you wish to be. But at what cost? There's a lot of risk there. If it turns out you change your mind, we don't have a way of diagnosing transsexuality, if it can at all be quantified as a biological thing. I'm a true scum. I think that transsexuality is some kind of neurological or even biological disorder, and I do think it can be quantified. Can we do that now? Absolutely not. So until such a time, I am very cautious about the idea of forcing children to do anything like taking hormones or puberty blockers or anything like that. I was 23 when I started to socially transition, and then 24 when I took a low dose of testosterone because thankfully I couldn't tolerate it, and I'm 29 now. And I mean, the other thing is, I was autistic. So going back to what I was saying about if you have any underlying or pre-existing conditions, maybe explore that first. And so I will say there is this huge correlation between autism and transsexuality, and I think a lot of that has to do with autistic people are already in the fringes of society. They have sensory issues. They have a very difficult relationship with their body and physical sensations. A lot of them are asexual. They just either don't have a libido at all, or they just the idea of touching someone else or getting intimate, exchanging bodily fluids, it's gross to them. And yeah, your disgust level is so high as both an asexual and an autistic. It's just, I mean, I know it's different for everybody, but yeah, I think that definitely plays a role in just not connecting with your own body and feeling uncomfortable and feeling wrong. I've said this in another video. Your body isn't the enemy. Society is. It should be fine to have whatever interests. It should be fine to be attracted to whoever you're attracted to. It should be fine to be a butch woman or an effeminate man. We should be at a point now where it doesn't matter. And I almost feel like the trans community is doing a disservice because, especially this whole non-binary thing where, oh, you know, I'm not a woman, I'm non-binary. What does that mean? You present as completely feminine. Yeah, no. You're a man or you're a woman and you can do whatever the hell you want and no one can judge you, and it doesn't mean that you're not man enough or you're not woman enough. Jesus Christ, calm down everybody. I think it's really a case of you should not have to change your body, or you shouldn't have to change who you are to be happy. You should change who you're associating with. You need to be around people who accept you, and not the kind of, you know, trans community acceptance. I think it's more a case of not forcing anyone to do anything or label anything or pressuring anyone to transition, have surgery, whatever. No, it should be a case of, hey, I'm a woman and I'm attracted to women and I like to have a shaved short haircut and, you know, wear streetwear, whatever it is. Just, yeah, why do we gotta put a label on it? Why do we have to take life-altering hormones and do life-altering surgery? It's this almost pathological obsession that our society has at this moment. Also, I apologize if there's a fly in here. I've just been trying to swat them all day. They just keep coming back. Some days it's fine. Other days it's like something out of the Bible, Exodus, something like that. Also, it's totally normal to fantasize about having different genitals or a different body or whatever. Everyone has weird, kinky thoughts. That's normal. And, you know, as a lesbian, I do think about, well, I can't actually have sex the way a heterosexual couple would, but sure would be interesting. So yeah, sure, I've thought about having a penis. Doesn't mean I want to be a man. I used to think so, but no one ever just sat me down and just went, it's fine to be a bit kinky, you know? But, you know, let's say you've said yes to everything. I was born feeling like I was in the wrong body. I know I'm trans. I have never fit in with my own gender. I really want people to be made aware of what transitioning is and what it can do for you, because I know there's some people in the detrans community who say, I'm detransitioning not because I identify with my biological sex, but I'm not happy with what hormones and surgery can accomplish, and I wasn't made fully aware of that. So actually in my case, when I first detransitioned, or Connor detransitioned, he was saying that, well, you know, I think I'm harming my body, I can't handle testosterone, I'll never afford surgery, and I'm not happy with how I look. You know, 5 years down the line, I just kind of look like a very strange little boy man. I'm not, and this is when he or I was starting to develop a libido and wanting to be noticed, but no one really looks at you when you're trans. I mean, some people do have a fetish for transsexuals, but for the most part, no one is paying attention to you, especially trans boys. They're just invisible. So I was at that stage thinking, Yeah, I think I'm just better off living as a man, as a woman. I don't pass as a man. I'm just going to give up on this whole trans thing. But I still think of myself as a man on the inside, which that slowly went away. I think when you've got that testosterone in your body, it increases that feeling of dysphoria, or the need to be the opposite sex. So yes, you're trans. You want to go on all the hormone surgery, all of that. First of all, I don't think that puberty blockers should be used. I think if you're an adult and you decide you want to transition, fair game. But no, I think puberty blockers, until we fully understand how it all works and how to do it safely, no, that's absolutely off the table. I don't care. That it should be illegal. But yeah, you're an adult. You're over 18. Congratulations, you can finally get on hormones. Do you really know what that's going to do? I mean, is it really going to make you look the way you want? Can you afford all those surgeries? Are you aware of the risks of those surgeries? Especially genital surgeries. Those can go very wrong, and it's very hard to get them fixed. And so as a trans man, phalloplasty is a joke. It doesn't work. You will, as both a trans man or a trans woman, you'll effectively kill all sexual pleasure. You will not experience sex as it's meant to be ever again. And you won't be able to reproduce, obviously. You, as a trans man, will go basically through menopause. And if you ever want to detransition, you got to deal with taking estrogen for the rest of your life. And I guess if you detransition, you're a trans woman who detransitions. Yeah, same thing. Like you've cut your penis off, so now you're going to have to take testosterone forever. And exogenous hormones come with their own risks. Much like a transgender person, if you have to take them, you are increasing your risk of stroke, heart attack, cancer. You are shortening your life. And I was not informed of any of that before I transitioned. And I'm pretty pissed off about that. Thankfully, I only took a low dose, didn't have surgery. I gotta keep telling myself that, but every morning when I still have to shave, I am angry. I am pissed off. Because I shouldn't have been allowed to transition. And I guess this moves us into the update portion of our video. I think I've made myself pretty clear. Kids, think about it before you jump in. But yes, my endocrinologist should not have been allowed to transition me, not been able to give me a prescription, because the laws state, and they're very vague and they're very new, very novel, as the lawyers tell me. And basically, they say that you have to have been identifying as that gender, living as that gender, and third, most important, having had the confirmation of a therapist. Having seen a therapist who says, yes, it seems like you are a gender dysphoric person. No. So I sent to a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist basically asked me these really cliche 10 questions like, do you have more male friends than female friends? Do you have more male interest than female interest? Do you like dressing as a man? All that sort of stuff, but never really stopping to say, hi, how are you? Who are you? How long have you felt this way? Can you tell me the story? Because a questionnaire isn't going to prove a thing. Especially if someone is just so, I was autistic, just laser focused, dogmatic in my mission to get on testosterone. So I was going to say yes to anything. Duh. And then I saw a psychiatrist, and she was better. I saw her once, and then I sent her an email saying, oh, so do I get a letter now? Can I go to the endocrinologist? You went, no, you're not ready. I definitely need to see you a few more times. And I ignored her, and I just thought, could I just make an appointment with the endocrinologist and see how far I go? Maybe just have a talk. Maybe she can tell me if this is the right decision for me and what the risks are. Oh, no. I just went in there and said, oh, yeah, I want to transition. Help me. I want to be a man, definitely. And she gave me some forms to get the blood test and stuff, but within the next couple of sessions, I was transitioning. And I shouldn't have been. First of all, I was autistic. So that already means that, so I was 23, 24. But socially and mentally, because of the autism, I was probably closer to someone in their teens, an 18-year-old maybe. I was very immature. I mean, I liked My Little Pony and cartoons, and I was very childlike. I was asexual, so I'd never dated. I'd never even masturbated. I didn't know what my own body was all about. I was kind of disgusted. I couldn't even use tampons. I was so freaked out by my own vagina. And that's another thing too. These kids who think they're gender dysphoric, get laid first when you're over the age of 18. So yeah, don't start transitioning as a minor. Have sex, or at least masturbate, figure out what that's all about, and then you can say that you're trans, that this body isn't working for you. Because and this is in the Irreversible Damage book, they do mention that a lot of these dysphoric girls it's just social dysphoria. They're very immature, naive, asexual, don't know their own bodies, and decide, oh, well, being a boy is a lot easier. Yes, it is. Being a boy is a lot safer and easier. It's not like I don't like being a woman. Yeah, I like the way I look. I like my own body. Fucking hate the way men talk to me. Christ. So here's an example. Recently, one of my ex-housemates, a 19-year-old Colombian boy, absolute moron. He's mostly deaf, he's hearing aid, but he can barely hear. Didn't speak English very well. I think his dad basically kicked him out after the divorce. So he had no self-care or independent living skills. He almost burned the house down once. He was boiling water. He had a bit of onion in there. He was gonna boil some rice, I guess that was, to flavor it. He walked away, totally forgot. So all the water, like a liter of water, had evaporated, and then the onion piece started to burn. So I come home, the air is black. I yell at him, he doesn't care, doesn't apologize. Terrifying. So we didn't have any contact after he moved out. I did not like him, he is an asshole. And my other housemate, who I'm still friends with, great guy, he was able to talk to him a bit more because they both spoke Spanish, and my friend says, oh yeah, he's a bit of a worry, that one, because he's kind of like a school shooter. Like he talks about killing or getting revenge against all the people who bully him, and he's very child. He's graduated high school. He's an adult now. He's working, and he still acts like he's in early high school, maybe. So he finds me on Instagram, and we hadn't had any contact whatsoever, and he just randomly comments going, what the fuck, seeing me as a woman? And I DM him and say, oh, how did you find me? And he went, oh, I have my ways. You Googled me, champ? Is that what you're saying, bud? I'm not difficult to find. No matter which name you're going with, it's very easy to find me. And he got angry. He went, all this time a woman was living in the house and you lied to me? And I went, I wasn't lying. I was living as a man. And he went, and then I asked him, so why are you upset? It's like, because we could have had sex. I'm a lesbian, champ. Wasn't going to happen. And also, even if I was heterosexual, no, not in a million years. You're a little baby man. I think there was 10 years between us or something. And that kind of shit. All men, just... I mean, no, okay, maybe not all. I've got some male friends who are nice. But, yeah, on the internet, yes, all men are gross. Because they have this anonymity. They can get away with it. And oh god, there's this whole other long story I got to tell you about my stalker who is stealing my identity. So my Instagram is Courtney Colson Prime, the Prime account, the only one. Anyone else is my stalker who was so obsessed with me, just thought I was so beautiful and tried to con me into doing nude videos and stuff, like some TikTok thing. I don't know. I'm an old lady. I don't know what the TikToks and the who's what's and the if and that and the other. I don't. I don't know what the kids are into. I guess this guy must be young because he's into the TikToks, but also he was a very radical Trump supporter who told me about the elaborate plan Donald Trump had to make all trans people in America detransition. And I was like, hey bro, I'm Australian. Don't care if America sinks into the ocean, frankly, because it's not a country that's technically real to me. I know it kind of exists because of movies, but I've never been there. Will never go there. Will never affect me in any way. Although I guess if it sinks under the ocean, that might make the ocean levels rise, and I'm pretty close to the coast, so... Anyway, still don't care. Funny thing is, though, I think I scared this guy. It was so weird. Like, he was pretending to be another woman at first. Maybe I shouldn't say the name of the model, but... Yeah, there was this Instagram model. She also a YouTube personality that he was obviously obsessed with, and then I figure out that it's a fake because I look up the name and go, well, hang on, there's another woman with this name who has the exact same photos, who has more subscribers. Yeah, oh no, yeah, this guy's a scam. I wasn't really paying attention because a lot of people contact me asking me questions about detransitioning, so I was just answering the questions. I wasn't paying attention, but she was talking to me every single day, and then I muted them, and I just found them so annoying. Then I blocked them, and suddenly her followers were going, oh, you have to unblock her, otherwise there'll be hell to pay. So then I contact this person, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What have I done to you? What are you doing? A whole long story about, it's so silly of me, but yeah, I do pretend to be women in the hopes that this woman that I'm obsessed with on Instagram who blocked me once, maybe she'll talk to me again if I get enough followers as pretending to be some other woman. If you're not following that, that's fine. I'm not following it either. I don't know what the plan is, but yeah, I just went, well, fuck off, blocked them. Next thing I know, they're pretending to be me, and this has been going on for months and months now. You don't deal with any of this as a man. Oh no, especially as a trans man, I was invisible, no one cared. But yeah, this guy just likes to pretend to be me. So, Courtney Colson Prime, that is me. Anyone else? That's just a fake. Although feel free to friend him and harass him and make him cry, because it's very easy. So he told me, he's like, oh, hang on, don't block me. I want to tell you my story. Okay, here we go. He tells me his sob story of how his Instagram waifu blocked him. For no reason. I am sure. Even if this even is a real story. And... yeah, so he has this whole elaborate plan of pretending to be other women, question mark, profit. So... yeah, I went, you're a fucking moron, mate. This is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. And he went, you're bullying me, please stop. And I went, no, you're a pathetic weenie man. No, this is the saddest thing. You're such a loser. I just kept going for it. I'm going to crush you, tiny man. And, yeah, he was begging me to stop. Maybe put a screen cap in there. Victory, yes. So that was fun. And I don't think he's really a threat. I don't know what more he could do. There's not much Instagram can do. I've reported the guy several times. A lot of my friends have reported him several times. So I just basically look at his account every now and then, and if it says we have mutual friends, I'll just send them a message, say, hey, that's not me. But yeah, they wondered why I wanted to be a man. And you watching, if you are a gender dysphoric girl, I get it. Suddenly you hit puberty, and every man is just being a fucking creep. You feel gross. You still want to be a kid and do your kid things without worrying about sexual harassment, which, geez, a basic human right. How dare you? So, what else has been changing? My hair, I've been shedding so much hair, but I'm not losing it, like my hairline's the same as it's always been. It's very thick hair, as you can see. It's just, oh no, now I've touched it. Get it back in there. Okay. I do like my hair at this. I never thought I would like my hair at this length, because, it is kind of high maintenance. Yes and no, because If I just get out of the shower and let it dry, fine. But if I sleep, take a nap, wear a hat, game over, man. It's just, you got to start the process all over again. So I can't tie it back. I guess that's what I mean, is low maintenance is, well, if it's not sitting right, you can just tie it back. I can't tie it back. This is just sitting here. Well, I can't wait till I can actually pull it aside or tie it up. But otherwise, I'm quite happy with it. I don't know why I'm shedding. Maybe I'm just like a rabbit, you know? Just twice a year, just lose my hair. It did happen to me once before, maybe 2 years ago, when I was a man, and it should have been alarming. I should have immediately went, oh, I'm stopping testosterone. But no, I was like, I'm losing hair. Should I stop taking testosterone and preserve the hair I have? I don't know. Being manly is so important to me. That, folks, is a mental illness. Just can't even think rationally. You're just so... I always thought I was a very logical person. I was logical at other things, but about myself, it was just a complete blind spot. I study logical fallacies in the hopes that I don't make them myself. But I have, I used to be on a plant-based diet. I used to be transgender. I just totally blind to what these things were doing to myself. And so the other thing, speaking of plant-based diet, I used to think I was anemic. They would give me iron infusions. I had to take iron tablets, which didn't react well with my stomach. Just eat more meat, you stupid bitch. I wasn't anemic at all. But I would have the worst periods. I thought I had endometriosis. It's just malnutrition. And so now, how many periods? So I guess, 7 months detransitioning, so probably about 5 periods. First few ones were light, really easy, barely noticed them. It was great. Last one was really heavy. I could not function, couldn't string a sentence together. I was dying. I was like pale. I was dying of blood loss. This time, I haven't had it. It's 35 frickin' days. And I'm getting all paranoid that it's another false pregnancy. I don't think that's going to be the case, but, my hormones are running wild. And who knows what can happen. But I think primarily this is just my body readjusting. I am going through third puberty. It really is like that. So if things are not consistent with my period, shouldn't be surprised. But my entire female life, I had a perfect clockwork 28-day cycle, so this is very new for me. It is almost like period constipation, because, if your period's late, that's fine. If you're not having any other symptoms, I wouldn't care, wouldn't notice. No, for the past week, increased appetite, I'm having to eat twice a day, otherwise I don't sleep, so normally I eat midday, and that's it. I'm fine, I'm satisfied, no problem. Now, I will just become fixated on food later in the evening, just going, can I make it to bedtime? I can't think about it. There is a video on What I've Learned's channel, talks about willpower is for losers, and it's true. If you're sitting there and you're just trying to get through this fast, you try to get through the night and wait till the meal tomorrow, it just takes so much of your mental energy. You can't do anything else. So I basically went, look, I'm going to listen to my body, and I'm doing a 16-8 fast, 2 meals a day. So it's not like I'm not fasting, but it's just that I know that my very sensitive guts do better with only eating every 23 hours. It gets a long time to heal. And I'm also dealing with all the cramps and just general sensitivity and discomfort, so I just want to bleed, damn it. Just want to bleed. I don't know what it's about. No one can tell me. That's the annoying thing, I have gone to doctors asking about, so what can I expect detransitioning? Even talking to a sexual health clinic, they didn't want to talk to me. And I was asking, well, should I get a pap smear? Should I get a breast screening? And they went, well, no, you're too young for those things. But I've been taking testosterone, and I was not even in the male range. I was in this sort of dangerous middle zone. So shouldn't I, be extra careful and just do the tests anyway? Oh, no, you're fine. So if I stop uploading videos, I've died of cancer. The other thing was, I had low bone density at one point because my testosterone was in that middle range. Again, what the hell was wrong with me? Stop. Just stop taking testosterone. I don't even think I had that really intense gender dysphoria, because I have emotional analgesia. I can't feel emotional pain. It wasn't like I was really suffering. It's just, I just want to be a man. No, I'd be much happier as a man. I want to be a man. That was just all I could think about. And once I transitioned, I didn't even think about it anymore. I was just happy. I was happy living as a man. Sometimes I worry about losing my libido. I don't know why. It's like, oh, well, it's been a couple of days and I haven't thought about it. Oh, what if I'm becoming asexual again? It's like, no, that's just totally normal. But once you do experience puberty properly, I'm suddenly seeing the world in Technicolor. And, I get it. I get all of... I feel like an adult, finally. I'm properly interacting with society and just getting those sort of, I don't know, subtle social dynamics and social cues. It's really hard to describe, and as an asexual I didn't realize what I was missing out on. And now it's like, well, the desire to have a partner or to have kids, I almost worry if it's this kind of cruel irony that, well, now I'm aware of what I'm missing out on, but I may not have the power to actually ever change my situation because of chronic fatigue. Will I ever be well enough to carry my own child? Will I ever be able to commit to a relationship or any long-term commitment? I'll never have a career, I'll never travel. So that probably played a factor in my dysphoria as well. And again, emotional analgesia. Wasn't able to really be aware of how much something was affecting me. It's not quite alexithymia. I am aware of what I'm feeling, but it's turned way down low. I can tell you how I feel about anything at any given moment. It's not nothing. I'm not confused. But it never really bothers me. It's not like I'm going to cry about this. Oh, speaking of, I almost cried recently. Again, hormones. I think it was near my period, and I was writing my memoir, which sounds so pretentious, but that's what you call a memoir. Like, it can't be an autobiography because that's your entire life story. So yeah, memoir. So select period of your life. And talking about my false pregnancy, and mentally and physically, my body was getting ready for this thing that never really happened, and I kind of realized, shit, it almost feels like a miscarriage, because I knew logically and consciously it wasn't real. It was just this very strange experience to go through so suddenly with everything else going on. I don't think I gave myself a chance to really think it through. And so when I was writing it down and really going through those details, I got kind of choked up. I didn't cry, but I was just feeling weirdly emotional. And that's another thing about my emotional experience, is I wasn't suffering. I wasn't in pain. I just kind of found it interesting. Oh, wow, I'm experiencing this kind of heightened state. Whereas I think if someone is genuinely upset, I can't comprehend what that is. Because to me, I can just take a backseat and watch my emotions and go, oh, that's interesting. But when people are really upset, I've heard it described as, it's just so terrible that, some people commit suicide because their emotions are just so unbearable. They liken it to, or even say it's greater than physical pain. I can't even wrap my brain around that. So yeah, I just got a little emotional and choked up just thinking about this baby that was never going to exist, but yet my hormones were just like, yes, we're going through the whole pregnancy process. No, we're not. Jeez, stop. So yeah. If you're detransitioning, maybe don't, and you had to take birth control and hormones, maybe just take one out of your system and then the other. Don't do it both at the same time. That's the only thing I can point at. That's why I went through that. Or maybe it's just my weird biology, going through third puberty and just all that. I don't know. I feel like my life is kind of like Flowers for Algernon, if you've ever read that, which is where a mentally disabled man is given this treatment that allows him to be neurotypical. He has a normal life, normal intelligence, and then stops taking that medication. Or no, it's a surgery, I think. It depends which version, because there's a movie adaptation. I've never seen it, but yeah, in the book, they do this surgery, and then his brain just reverts back to the way it was before. and his whole commentary on, maybe he was happier when he was simpler. But yeah, so I'm sort of like, went from that sort of naive, clueless, neurodiverse individual and then becoming more quote-unquote normal. Hopefully I don't go back, but yeah, that is the fear, that at any point, any of these things, I'm just going to relapse. Maybe my autism symptoms will get worse again, or chronic fatigue will get worse, or I'll be asexual again. So there is, I guess, a paranoia there. But yeah, so Connor, my alter ego, I don't see him anymore, and I kind of missed him a little bit. I guess there was a period of mourning to a degree. I don't know, it's hard to describe. I'm not angry at him, but I'm not happy with what he did either, but I think he was just doing the best he could. So Connor, if you're not aware, haven't followed me before, when I first got chronic fatigue syndrome, I think, so I have hyperphantasia, which means I have a very intense imagination. I didn't even know there was a word for it until recently, and I thought everyone saw the world that way. But yeah, everything is just so heightened, when I listen to music or watch movies or read a book, it comes to life in this really intense way. And I've always had imaginary friends, or tulpas, if you will. Basically the same thing, where, these people come to life in my mind in a very intense, real way. And Connor wasn't someone I deliberately created. Before I got chronic fatigue for the first time, so that was when I was 21, I was insanely productive. While I was studying full-time, I was also working, taking on commissions. I was just all go, go, go. And exercising as well. I didn't really stop to watch TV or read books or whatever. I was just constantly creating and very ambitious. I had this very bright future. I just thought I was going to have this amazing career, and obviously none of that came into fruition. So there was a period of mourning when I got sick for the first time. And I wasn't even that sick. How sick I was that time is about how I feel now, and this is me on the mend. I think I'm actually possibly seeing chronic fatigue go into remission again, and so I can do grocery shopping, I can cook and clean and all that, so that's doable. I can go shopping with friends. I don't think I could work full time, but I'm getting closer to having a more manageable life, less pain. But back then, it was devastating. I wasn't used to, I was going at like 100 kilometers an hour, and then I'm stuck at 20. It's just, how do people function like this? And Connor was I didn't give him a conscious name or anything. It was just this, I don't know, fantasy, this idea of this robot who is so productive and so strong and so efficient and so intelligent, just infinitely better than me. And I guess I kind of like playing around as that character in my mind. And then at one point, I do remember I just had this experience one night, and I was just lying in bed, had this thought, or this epiphany, I guess I should say. I think I want to be a man. And I don't know why. I don't know why to put that in my... I do mention that in my other video. I was watching X-Men, and I just thought, James McAvoy, Michael Fassbender, they're looking great. I like their look. I want to be like that too. And so I guess those two feelings merged, or maybe they all came from the same source, who can say. But ever since I was a little kid, it was easy for me to lose track of what I looked like. It's actually, I don't deal with that lately. Every once in a while, maybe you get a little bit of that, and every once in a while I do kind of hallucinate Connor. I kind of see him at the corner of my eye. But yeah, as a very young kid, I would feel this kind of dissociation. Or I would have to look in a mirror to remind myself that that's what I look like. I had to sort of merge myself back into my body again. Otherwise, my imagination would take hold, and I would think I was some other character or someone else I had seen, and it would feel really weird, and it was kind of a dysphoria, I guess. And again, that wasn't ever noticed, well, I guess people noticed I had imagination, but wasn't diagnosed as anything. I don't think hyperphantasia is a condition, but it's certainly a factor in feeling dysphoric. And see, this is all the kind of stuff I never would have said honestly to a therapist prior to transitioning, because I just wanted to say what I needed to say to get the drugs. I was like a junkie. So that's the other bit of advice I'd give, is if you are gender dysphoric, your therapists are not the enemy. Be honest. Really, it's very helpful, because the only person you're going to hurt is yourself. Even if you are actually transgender, you may have other conditions that are going unrecognized. And then once you go on hormones and that changes your brain chemistry and your emotions and stuff, it might make those things worse. It might make some things better. I know some trans men say that testosterone makes them feel more confident, their anxiety and depression goes away. So hey, it might have that benefit, but if you've got other issues that have gone undiagnosed, they might only get worse. So when I started thinking of myself as transgender, Connor was kind of this alter ego, and I would switch back and forth. And I gave him kind of a code name or a nickname, just Orlando, after the Virginia Woolf novel. And I had some friends say, it seems like you got like a split personality thing. I don't think that's transgender. And this has kind of come out of nowhere. And this was actually coming from a friend who was transgender and who was very much pushing the trans agenda and was always talking about it and always wanted people to transition. It felt like she was always pressuring people to transition. But then when I did, she went, I don't think this is right. This is coming out of nowhere. Oh, screw you. And my parents were saying the same thing. My dad didn't care, and then he left. That's a whole other story. I think I talk about it in another video somewhere at some point. But yes, if you do have friends and family saying, this doesn't seem right, or this has come out of the blue, maybe listen. I know the trans community really wants, it's almost like a cult. They want to isolate you from your support network. That, oh no, your trans family is your new family now, your rainbow family. No, they're not going to be there when the shit hits the fan. They really aren't, especially if something goes wrong transitioning, or you decide to detransition. Oh no, a lot of them will turn on you. So yeah, maybe, I don't know what your relationship is like with your family, but if you had a good relationship and then all of a sudden you're having a falling out and it's just over transitioning, maybe think about that. Maybe slow down before burning bridges. But yeah, I always idolized male characters, and I was talking to my therapist about this recently, about autoandrophilia or autogynephilia. These are where, so some trans women aren't really trans women, they're just men who have a fetish for dressing as women. It just really turns them on. And then they will transition, they'll go on hormones, they'll get the surgery, and then they'll wake up and go, oh, well, now I don't have a libido. I don't feel like I'm a woman. This isn't doing anything. The fun's gone. This isn't doing anything for me. Oh no, what have I done? And autoandrophilia, much less reported on, but I have to wonder if that plays a role. Waffling Willow, another channel, not that long ago, uploaded a video about autoandrophilia, and while her experience is nothing like my own, that what she describes is so common amongst trans boys, that they are very much into boys, especially anime. Don't know what that is. They love these beautiful anime boys, and then they want to be a beautiful anime boy, which, if you start off as a girl, not a bad canvas to start with to look like a beautiful anime boy. I wasn't into any of that, but I will say I was very much interested in men, and not sexually. You know, I was always asexual, didn't have a preference one way or the other, but I would have these obsessions with particular men, Tom Hiddleston, Benedict Cumberbatch, David Tennant, Michael Fassbender, so just a bunch of white British dudes that I think I wanted to be. I projected myself onto them a lot. I never had any sexual fantasies. I think when I was really going through puberty for the first time and just thinking about sex, you know, I wasn't aroused, but I was just trying to envision, like, so what is it like to do that with a man? I don't know. And yeah, so I would sort of imagine, but not fantasize, I guess is the difference. It wasn't doing anything for me. It was just very clinical, like, said, when I grow up, do I have to do that? So yeah, I would just really idolize these male characters, and I guess my imaginary friend, my tulpa, in my late teens or early 20s, was Bane from Batman. He's still a bit of a guide, a role model. I think he's great. Bane's the best character in all of the DC universe, maybe. Just putting it out there. And yeah, I mean, Bane probably of all those characters definitely embodies what I was identifying with, which is that stoicism, that strength, that just infinite endurance and patience. And when I was dealing with chronic fatigue, especially the second time around, which was about 3 years ago now, he got me through some very difficult times because there was just this unwavering voice of strength, I suppose, in the back of my mind, getting me through it. So, yeah, not attracted to men, but definitely heterosocial. Mostly male friends, mostly interested in male interests. I'd always cosplay as male characters, but I would do like a femme version, so I was presenting as very feminine, but still wanted to embody those characters in some way. I never did drag. I was never really interested in presenting as a man. Maybe a year or two before I actually transitioned was the first time I was actually doing drag. I had a lot of fun, loved doing it. So that was the other thing too. I wasn't even exploring my gender before taking the plunge. It wasn't. I mean, I did cut my hair short, but I was still, makeup, very feminine clothing. Maybe I'm sort of a glamorous androgynous phase, but yeah, never went fully butch. Never just had a go at being a butch. Well, I wasn't a lesbian at that point, but just, yeah, being butch. No, it was just, it's so bizarre. It was so clear. It was obviously clear to everyone else around me, but it's so clear to me in hindsight. I was never a man. I never had a problem being feminine. I don't know what it was. I was dissociating, I guess. And so, yeah, Connor, that's what he looks like. He's a robot. And, yeah, maybe I got the name, God, when did I change my, I think it would have been around 2 or 3 years ago. It was actually before Detroit Become Human. It was just a weird coincidence. That was the name I chose. And then the game came out and I just further enforced my own insanity. But yeah, there came a point before I changed my name where I went, I don't identify as this person anymore. I feel like I've been carrying this torch for this Courtney, but she's dead. She doesn't exist anymore. I don't sense her in any way. So maybe I should just take control of my own life because it's my life and my body. That's Connor's thinking. And yeah, I mean, he was making plans to have top surgery. He was just, yeah, totally committed to being not only trans, but transhuman. He was going to get tattoos of circuitry all over his body. I've mentioned this in other videos. Yeah, glad that never happened. And I don't really know what made me detransition, what made me wake up. I think it was just because I had to stop taking the testosterone. My mental illnesses recovered. Testosterone is a freaking poison. You're not supposed to put this stuff in your body if you're a woman. So, in hindsight, I feel like maybe chronic fatigue syndrome is a kind of trauma, and I wasn't aware of it, and my way of coping was retreating into my imagination, and this Connor persona took over, and it just got worse and worse and worse because people weren't trying to snap me out of it. We live in a society that's all about affirmation, that you just have to accept that someone is what they say they are. And that could have led to some very horrible consequences if I hadn't saved myself. No one was going to do that for me, especially not the way the world is structured right now. So, I still deal with chronic fatigue syndrome, and again, cruel irony that I'm aware of what I'm missing out on. I may have a libido now, I may want a partner, I may want kids, but I don't know if I my life is ever going to be anything other than this. And not that I'm unhappy, but throughout these 5 years or so, on and off, of having chronic fatigue, there are definitely periods of mourning, of frustration, of wishing my life could be like everyone else, a normal life. I watched all my peers grow up and get married and have children and have careers and travel, and there I was just watching TV, stuck in bed, not really doing much of anything. And, I'm better now and I can do more now, but there really was that sense of arrested development and that I was robbed of this future that I'll never have. But I didn't really care so much back then, or for the reasons I've mentioned, autism, asexuality. But also when you're in your 20s, you just feel like time is infinite and you're not really worried. But yeah, now I'm 29, and especially from the reproductive angle of things, it's like, oh my god, the clock is ticking. Even though my generation is estimated to live over 100 years, especially, I have to have this really strict routine just to function, so there's a carnivore diet, fasting, cold showers, I use humidifiers, red light therapy, blue blocking glasses, just everything. I think I got a list there. What else? I have megadosing vitamin D, and I think there's just to frickin' function. Some people, especially my mom, tell me I gotta loosen up and not be so strict. No, I have an illness, and if I deviate, I'm not like most other 20-somethings who can just have a hard night out, drinking, doing whatever. No, that would actually kill me. So I've never really been able to have that kind of youth, and now I'm entering my 30s and wanting to start a family. It's just that same frustration is definitely back again. Although I can handle it, but I'm much more self-aware. I've gone through this before. I've gone through a lot of stuff. So I can just go, yeah, okay, well, it sucks, but you try and do what you can. It's not going to stop me trying to date or trying to have a kid. So, yeah, you do what you can while you can, and if you fail, well, better luck next time, I guess. There's very few things that you can really truly fuck up that badly, especially if you're responsible and self-aware and go, this isn't working. Like transitioning, I just realized, no, this is a bad idea, this was stupid, I'm an adult now, we gotta stop. But so this whole affirmation culture, that idea of you'll just let them live their lives, they're not hurting anyone, they're happy. I hear this a lot when it comes to transsexuality, when it comes to other kin, when it comes to what do they call objectum fetishes, so the people who are attracted to objects, bridges, cars. Oh, speaking of, so my mechanophilia. I definitely don't qualify as a mechanophile in the conventional sense. I've done more digging into that community, and I mean, I'm going to be frank here. Bunch of perverted men, old men, who a lot of them are on the autism spectrum, can't connect with human beings, never dated, generally a virgin, and actually have these romantic relationships with vehicles. And then they also draw these kind of cartoony, like the Pixar kind of vehicles, and they're in love with the car or the plane or whatever it is. Like, no, that's not what I'm into. For me, it's more like the movie Crash. Or I'm trying to think of another example. I think that's basically, there's not a lot out there, but just the car is this erotic toy or place. It is the setting. I love the combined imagery, women with cars. So do watch a lot of car wash videos. There's something about a woman reaching into those grooves on the back of a Lamborghini. It's just does something for me. I don't know. So mechanophiles, they're actually in love with the car. They see it as alive. I don't see it as alive unless it was, Kit, where it can actually talk back, or Christine. She doesn't talk, but she communicates in her own way. And I did. I'm very happy with this. My little Christine here. Look at her. She's beautiful. And she's got kind of love it. I'm an adult. I collect 162 scale die-cast cars. That's normal. Yeah, I mean, if I can't afford a car, let alone a collection of cars, I'm never going to be Jay Leno. So, die-cast is my only option. But yes, I do find cars sexy to look at, but I'm not anthropomorphizing them on that level. But yeah, the idea of having sex in and around a car with someone else, preferably, that's kind of my thing. So there's also the objectum fetishes. So they're weirdly, so the ones who are more interested in bridges, buildings, other inanimate objects, those tend to be women who have had a history of sexual assault or autistic, and so they're kind of afraid of men. They're kind of afraid of anybody. They don't make connections with human beings at all, and that's not the issue for me either. Like I definitely want a girlfriend, but I also want the car. Got two great tastes that taste great together. Yeah, a very fascinating community. But the idea of, just let them do their thing. They're happy. They're not, though. In these documentaries, you can see how lonely and unfulfilled and unsatisfied they are. And you also see this with the otherkin community, where, because I thought I was a robot. It's so weird for me to even say that now. Connor's totally gone. All those thoughts are gone. It feels like a dream. And it's only been if you watch my videos, it's only been a few months. It's only been a few videos between me going, yes, I identify as a robot, and now, no. It's not even remotely. So, yeah, the otherkin who think they're animals or robots or whatever, it's a coping mechanism. A lot of people with this gender dysphoria, it's a coping mechanism, or it's what they think the answer is to all of their problems. And so I really am critical of this affirmation principle philosophy that we seem to have these days. I don't agree. I think we should be trying to intervene and kind of shake these people. This is not real life. What the fuck are you doing? In shamanism, there is this notion of ordinary reality and non-ordinary reality. And maybe when I learned about that kind of helped me make sense of my own experiences where, I have hyperphantasia, I have lucid dreams, I have these very intense psychological experiences, fantastical experiences, Connor being one of them, like a tulpa that possessed me. And no, Christian viewers, I don't mean literal demonic possessions. I know you guys have a hard-on for finding the demonically possessed. You'll have to look elsewhere. I have never been demonically possessed. I've been robotically possessed, if that's a thing. But yeah, I think this is a notion we need more in mainstream culture. The idea of, okay, here's your non-ordinary reality. I think, I would say I'm an atheist, I'm an agnostic maybe. We don't have all the answers. But I think the human animal needs spirituality. We're not a logical species. We're storytellers, we're believers, we're feelers. And so we need a spiritual side. And that doesn't mean, all this new age, weird, made-up bullshit. But we need something to believe in. So whether that's some kind of creative expression, be that music or art or movies or whatever it is, or for me, meditation, shamanism, lucid dreaming, delving into the subconscious, that can be very enlightening and enriching and has helped me in many ways. Do I think it's real? No. You have to say that's non-ordinary. And then there's your ordinary reality, the reality you share with everyone else. So if you're otherkin or you like to explore your gender identity, that's all spiritual, psychological, philosophical. It is not in the realm of ordinary reality. And I think it's a huge issue that modern, especially Western society, doesn't have any kind of distinction. It's just, there's reality and then there's crazy. That's it. And so I think that dismisses a lot of spirituality, of just mentally healthy, imaginative exercises. I think that's the best way to put it. It was surprising when, as I've mentioned, I like my therapist, but I basically had to specify, if I come in here again saying I'm Connor and I want to be a robot, please, dear God, stop me. And it was kind of scary that I even had to specify that I can't trust a therapist to go, yeah, this kid's acting like a robot. Robots are real, robots exist, but this kind of, sophisticated artificial consciousness inside of a human being, that's not real. So maybe I should, as a therapist, do something about that. No, if she was still, she doesn't believe in conversion therapy. She says it's not a real thing. Depends how you define it. I guess when I say conversion therapy, I mean offering alternatives than affirmation. But yeah, that she would still try to respect my pronouns. That I don't really remember the last session because Connor and I were switching back and forth. So yeah, really difficult period of my life. Don't know what happened exactly, but I felt like, do we not establish I'm detransitioning, that I'm legally changing my name back? And she's like, so what am I calling you? Courtney. Connor's the robot. Why would you call me a fictional character? So I just want to be respectful. No, don't respect the made-up fucking robot. It's not real. And also, robots don't need respect. They're made to just, follow orders. They don't need you to be polite. But I just want to go back to that whole thing of hyperphantasia and losing sense of what my own body was like and feeling this weird, dysphoria or dissociation. It was uncomfortable. I like this cringe or embarrassment of just, oh no, this is not me. What is me? Oh yeah, it's very hard to articulate because has anyone else ever had that experience? I don't know, but I used to think it was so normal. And that's another thing too, is if you do suddenly have this rapid onset gender dysphoria, it takes a lot of work to do that level of introspection to say, well, how am I different from other people? And am I seeing the world differently? And, all these things you take for granted might not be normal and maybe the signs of some other condition. So, yeah. Jungian therapy. I think that needs to come back into popularity, that more deeper introspection, confronting the shadow self. Good idea. Let's do that. Guess my final note. This is probably a longer episode. This is so much to cover, and I didn't know how to focus on any one thing because, me, I'm very complicated. I just, everything overlaps. I'm an intersection bingo card. Yeah. But I'm trying to change my gender back. So legally on most forms it still says Connor Coulson, male. Now I could go ahead and change my name back, but I can't change my gender back. So then I feel like, well, do I really want to go to Medicare and Centrelink and sit there twice, waiting in line for hours to change my name back and then change my gender back? Or do I kill two birds with one stone? And I thought, kill two birds, one stone, change my gender. But changing my gender the first time was so easy. Changing back, oh no, now they're like, you need to present more evidence and you need to prove that you're living as a woman. I'm sorry, so you need a letter from someone else, friend or family, to say that I'm living as a woman. What if I was butch, though? How do you define that? Like if I was a butch lesbian, detransitioning from a man, and they would write, well, she's attracted to women, she has a very short haircut, she wears men's clothes, but she identifies as a woman. So are they supposed to say no? It's crazy, and these laws, I guess, are so outdated. Someone looked into it and they told me, oh no, this has not been updated since the 90s. This is in Perth specifically. When I applied to change my gender the first time, really simple. I actually did not need a letter from a friend or family member. I just had my doctor say, yes, he's been living as a man, I've been treating him and giving him testosterone, easy. Now, I've got a letter from a GP saying, yes, she is a biological woman. She's had no surgery, she stopped taking testosterone, she has a vagina, she is a woman. And like, yeah, we need more evidence. Excuse me? And my whole family is really upset. My mum is livid. And she will be going to the hearing. Yeah, they do a hearing to change your gender. When you change your name, you can change your name as many times as you like. You don't have to present any evidence. They do ask for an explanation, like, is this for business purposes, is it marriage, is it whatever? Yeah, I've changed my name several times, and no issues. Changing your gender, this board convenes only once a month. They do a hearing which you can attend, and then they'll decide whether or not you can change your gender. Now, first of all, I think sex and gender should be separate things. And on your medical forms or whatever it is, it should say your biological sex, which can never ever be changed. You can't change your sex. That will always be what it was at birth. And then your gender, just a thing that helps people say the right pronouns and all of that, then you can change that and yeah. Or maybe not even have gender or sex written on anything. So why do you need to know that? Other than for maybe, statistical data when they're trying to get an idea of the population and whatever. I don't know. But it doesn't have to be publicly available. I don't think it should even matter. But yes, I'm trying to change my gender back. They won't let me, which is just absolutely insane. It's kind of Kafkaesque, a little bit Orwellian. They're, changing the rules beneath me. They are... It's as boomers say, bureaucracy gone mad, where it's just they're following the letter of the law and ignoring just common sense. And then it's Orwellian because they're changing the definition of words, or kind of gaslighting me a little bit, because this whole process, it's been kind of shocking, because the idea of I don't count as a woman, I'm not woman enough for you, I was born as a woman, I don't have to earn that. If you're transgender, fair enough, you do have to go through those stages, and you have to prove that this is not something you were born as. It's much more complicated. But if someone has already transitioned and has changed their gender with the same board in the same state, and now they're detransitioning, well, logic determines that, this is the same person going back to their biological sex. How do I prove, through anecdote from friends and family, letters to support, that I'm a woman? What? And also, the whole idea of you have to be living as that gender. Well, if you're a cisgender woman, and it doesn't matter how you present or how you live your life, you are a cisgender woman. So that really pisses me off, just that idea that there's no separate set of standards or rules for detransitioners. Trans people and detransitioners are expected to adhere to the same standards. Does that sound fair to you? Does that sound sensible? So I think that's everything. There was so much I wanted to talk about, and there's probably things I'm still forgetting, but I believe that covers a majority of the stuff. 'Cause I only have the time and energy to do these videos maybe twice a week at most. So I really want to cover all bases, and yeah, I mean, there's so many topics within the trans and detrans community. There's so many other neurological and psychological conditions I've been through that I want to go in more depth about. There's also just the experiences that I'm going through detransitioning. So this video is a little bit of everything. Hopefully you got something out of it. And until next time, see ya, Space Cowboy.